All right, we're back with the Veterinary Ledger Podcast. I wish we could have done this a couple weeks ago live, but we got Dr. Jake Gomez here, CEO Cross Street Veterinary in California. Dr. Gomez, great to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
I always like to ask, how, let's go back to the basics. How did you get into vet med? So then we can kind of build on it.
Oh, I had a different story than I think a lot of people. So obviously, yes, I love animals. That's the normal story. But I wanted to be a pediatrician. And then as I got older and I took more of the FFA, the Future Farmers of America classes, that's where I started realizing, I grew up on a farm. So in that aspect, we didn't really take our pets to the vet. It was you fix them or they die, right? So FFA was like, well, there's actual people that can fix these animals and help them. And so then I kind of said, well, okay, I wanted to be a pediatrician because I love medicine. I love animals. Why don't I put those together? And so my senior year of high school, I was fascinated by veterinary medicine, pursued that in college, kind of kept all my options open between veterinary medicine or I was going to be a game warden, like completely opposite. And I got into vet school. So it was the decision that was made for me.
I love that. I'm glad that we don't have the same mentality for kids on the farm, right?
Kids got a little bit better treatment. Not a little bit, yeah.
What appealed about the game warden? What would that have looked like?
I grew up hunting and fishing and things like that. And so for me, it was, I think every kid grows up playing cops and robbers. And so I kind of wanted to take that mentality. And then again, the love for animals plus my lifestyle, a game warden was just a great job. And so I did all the application. I tested into it my fourth year of undergraduate, and then pretty much was geared to go there had I not got into the vet school. And luckily, they both timed out around December of my last year. Boom, decision was made for me.
So vet school was like your fallback.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, if I didn't get in, yeah.
I love that. I love everyone's stories.
And you got into it and then, more recently got into practice ownership, but I think it's a little bit more unique than that because practice ownership is in your hometown, correct?
Yeah, so I kind of always joke. I tell people I have like the hallmark Christmas veterinary story. So I grew up in a very small farming town. At the time, we only had 2 veterinarians for small animal. We had a bunch of large animal vets, of course. And so our hometown vet, he took care of everybody's animals. I interned with him in high school. So my senior year of high school, I did like half day here, half day at a large animal facility. And so really it was, I'd come home from college, tell him I got a C in chemistry, and he would make me cry and say you're not going to vet school. And I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong, old man. And I did. I got in. And then again, what you're comfortable with, some people return to. For me, it was, I don't want to return to that. And so even though he would call me every month and he would, hey, come work for me. I worked for our competitor, and that was kind of a huge blow to him in a way, but he didn't give up. He was very persistent. So still, I was working for the competitor, getting calls from him once a month. And then one day it just said, what am I doing? This guy's been like a father to me. There's no reason to not work with him. I'm glad I got experience outside of here. But when I came back, it very quickly transformed into, here's your job. Within months, we were talking about practice ownership. We did a massive remodel. I ignited a fire under him that he's never had before. He went from seeing 15 patients a day to 40 a day because he reinvigorated himself. And so together, we've had a fantastic past couple of years. And that's how I got into practice ownership.
A little twist to that Hallmark story, though. There was kind of a dark edge at the beginning.
So they all are, though, right? Someone's going to fall in love with
there's
the
always
enemy.
the dark, right?
Yeah.
Well, and also I think the experience, especially if you've grown up there, it's good to see other things so that you know what you're coming home to. I think that's
exactly
very important.
And like I said, it's the two entities. We practice different kinds of medicine too. So just the lifestyle, the dynamic of the hospital, the medicine quality was different, not in a bad or a good way, just different. And so it really enabled me to, open my eyes to what I like, what I don't like, and then how do I want to make my own. And so that was really nifty. And then, the practice ownership thing, again, kind of to put the really sweet ending for the Hallmark movie was part of the incentive was, hey, I want you to take over. I'm going to give you a reduction on the price of the practice. This is what it's worth. I'm selling it to you for less, but I want you to continue my legacy of private. We're never going to go corporate. We have a very family mentality. And so it was a trade-off that some might see, very advantageous. But for me, it was my goal anyways. I don't want to go corporate. I want to keep our family mentality here. So it worked out really well.
I think you just answered it, but I was going to ask you because, that's an outstanding relationship to have. But I would think when, having that relationship, now we're talking real numbers and we're talking, exit planning and strategy. Did that hurt or help the conversation? And because money got involved, was there any times where it felt uneasy, or because of the relationship, because of how you were able to collaborate, it was just a seamless process?
Yeah, the relationship definitely helped, meaning we've always been very fair to each other. So even when it came down to what are current interest rates, if they're 6%, okay, I'm giving it to you for 5%, right? We're always going to be fair to one another. The only thing that the relationship at times, I wouldn't even say hurt, but we're very different in terms of age demographics and then old school versus new school. And so when I came on board, like when I first started working here, anybody listening, don't do what I did. Like we made a contract over a bottle of wine and a handshake. There was no formality. Like we didn't have lawyers involved. And so, now with the practice ownership and all those things, we've gotten lawyers involved, not out of spite or to protect ourselves, but just it's what you're supposed to do. It's what everybody does. But again, still having a great relationship, it hasn't made it difficult or awkward. It's just, if anything, it's taught us so much, both of us, so much more about buying a practice, selling a practice, things that he didn't know and I definitely didn't know.
What would be that advice? Because we're seeing that a ton now as you get called the older generation mixed with the newer generation. And we found a transition plan to keep our private practice private. What's the secret sauce? What helps? What helps you?
Yeah, I think number one, I think, there's different aspects of it. You'll hear a lot about people who, I can't sell my practice. I can't sell my practice. And I think a lot of it is maybe just marketing. Again, for me, it fell into my lap truly, but the incentive to buy it, for rather than some astronomical figure, was keep it private. And here's a discount, if you will. So number one, I think there's a market there. Number two, I read something years ago and I laughed at it, but it was said, if you're thinking about buying a practice or selling a practice, you're 5 years too late. I didn't believe that. Here I am in 2025. We're still finalizing different details and different contracts. And we started this process in January of 2020. And so literally on the dot, like they were correct. It's 5 years. Most of that was because the older generation, I think a lot of them formed as a sole proprietorship, and that's how a lot of them have worked. We're trying to do things, with the help of you guys as well. We formed, we didn't just sell a practice, buy a practice. We formed a corporation, formed an S Corp. We're operating things differently. A lot of planning's been involved, but number one, it's been a fun process to learn all these things. Number two, if I sell it in 5 years or 20 years, whatever it is, everything's already been set up for me to where it shouldn't take 5 years. And then there's obviously benefits, tax-wise, all that kind of stuff too.
I think that gets lost, right? And not, sorry to interrupt you, it's get lost in not to highlight the benefit of good planning, but like, you're right. You operate in a sole proprietorship, think of all the liability you've had since inception, but now just the foundation you have. I mean, you're buying an outstanding asset, but even building it now better. So like the incremental growth that you'll now see over the coming years with just better strategy is outstanding.
So you've got the DVM and the CEO. It's two very different hats, and there's not a lot of DVMs that are also calling themselves a CEO. So what does that look like for you on like a daily basis?
Yeah, so thankfully it hasn't changed much in terms of, obviously DVM is still DVM. I'm still here practicing medicine, doing surgery, all the daily things. The CEO, number one, was just a cool title that I could add. So I did. Why not? We voted on it, of course, and I got it. But number two, it's just more of the business aspect, right? So again, and that's for me, you're going to meet practice owners. I've met practice owners who want nothing to do with the business. They just want to own it and work there. For me, I want to own it, but I also want to be so involved with it. Weirdly enough, I like the conversations I have with Jared, the nerdy numbers, sometimes get yelled at, sometimes not. I enjoy those things because it gives me tangible metrics that I can chase or follow. So for me, yeah, it's just the business aspect of things, being more involved on the day-to-day financial side.
How much time are you spending on things like that?
Probably not enough. I feel like there's never enough.
That wasn't a trick question.
Yeah, but I think it's because I went to school, just backtracking, I went to school at Western University, so they farm us out. I had probably 40 rotations. And so I met really good individuals, just different calibers. One of them told me that, he was a practice owner. He did everything, small and large animal like I did. And he's like, you're going to wake up one day and realize you can't be great at everything. You can be good at everything, but to be great at everything, you have to pick one and focus on what that's going to be. For me, I think my focus wants to be good at CEO. I want to be good at the numbers, but I'm still what I would consider a baby in this seat. And so I have a lot of time to figure that out, but I do want to spend more time on that. And I think that's where I'm going to focus, hopefully, more of 2026.
Sounds good for us.
Being so intimate, deeply rooted in the community, that's you. That's what the practice was built on. What Dr. Here's, and now it's obviously your messaging as well. How do you get that level of commitment and involvement for the team?
Yeah. You're talking like for my staff and stuff like that here?
Yeah, just purely staff now.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it just kind of fell into place. When this place started, it was truly like a husband and wife ran it with like one or two staff members. For the longest time, there were 4 people here at all times. Now we're up to almost 20. A lot of it has been retention. You treat the employees correctly, they just kind of fall in line and follow the way they're supposed to. And so our hospital manager's been here, I believe, almost 20 years. Lead CSR, I think, is 14 or 17. I can't remember. So we have a lot of seniority, longevity here, and we have a very low turnover rate, which I think that just kind of helps with everything, where we're not constantly retraining people. We train once and they seem to stick around. And then as we adapt, moving over the past couple of years from small business to larger business, different mentalities, different numbers, chasing profit, whatever it is. We've never had pushback from the girls. A lot of them have wanted to be involved with us in terms of how are we going to get there? What's the ride look like? And how can we help you? And so again, thankfully, it hasn't taken a ton of coursing or convincing. Everybody's just wanted to see us thrive and succeed.
It speaks volumes to you as a leader. But when you're thinking of like retention, because I agree that the kiss of death is the constant turnover and the switching cost of hiring, retraining, and doing it all over again. What are you focused on more? Is it the communication aspect of things? Is it the compensation? Is it the benefits? Is it truly a blend of everything to create the ultimate package for that employee? What stands out to you as being the priority number one?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to tell you it's the pay, right? That seems to be the biggest concern for most technicians, RBTs, assistants, is they want a fair and equal wage. And it's hard, especially in California. Sometimes what they're getting offered, you could literally go flip burgers at In-N-Out and probably make more money in some cases. And number one, we've tried to be competitive, pay them very fairly for the work they do, which I think that helps. And that spreads a good mentality that people want to work here, just overall everywhere. Number two, a lot of it is the leadership. And so, I'm always trying to be a better mentor, a better leader, not just a better boss. I don't want these people to see me as their boss. I want them to see me as a leader. And so recently, again, I'm investing time in myself. And so I'm doing a program. It was sponsored by BI. It's a Vital program. So it's like a 6-month leadership academy. I'm hopeful it's going to work really, really well. We'll see. I just finished my first homework assignment the other night. So it's like going back to school. But again, it's one of those things. I wanted to do it. I want to invest in myself because I think they're all going to get involved as well. And I think, again, a lot of the girls, just having them involved, right? Just spending 30 seconds a day asking someone, what do you think about this? And then shutting up, not saying anything, just listening. That seems to be, that means the world to these individuals more than what we're offering them financially, is just being heard. And so I think the fact that they're heard here, a lot of them want to stay here.
What was the homework assignment number one?
That was exactly where I got it from. That's what it was. It was find 2 individuals who I wouldn't normally ask about their weekend or whatever it may be, come up with an idea that I want to fix, and then just ask them, what do you think? And shut up and listen. Sometimes that's hard just to shut up. But in this case, it was, I intentionally said, I'm going to shut up, I'm going to listen. And I was surprised with what I heard. So I was happy.
So somebody asked me once what ideas I had that had failed. And I was like, the ones that I sat at my desk and made it my own, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you've got an issue with the practice, go to the people who are doing the things, and they know what needs to be fixed. Like just listening to the staff is huge.
No, 100%. In this case, one of the issues we've actually had is how we triage emergencies when they rush in our door that hit by car. And so I came to a girl, asked her, I'd forgotten, at the time she worked at ER prior to coming here. So number one, huge light bulb moment. I should have asked her a long time ago. She had fantastic ideas. Again, just listening made total sense in this case.
Well, hopefully then they're more apt to come to you with their own ideas without being prompted. So,
oh yeah.
I can't wait for homework assignment number 2.
Hopefully after the holidays. Yeah.
I want to switch gears a little bit though. you inadvertently stumbled into becoming like a viral sensation.
Yeah.
You went worldwide.
You did there. I see what you did there. Okay. Yeah. For a good reason, I made some internet publicity last October. You guys probably remember like the bird flu and all that kind of stuff. Well, we have a ton of cows here. We're like dairy capital of the state, sometimes of the world, depending on the year. And so we got hit with bird flu hard. Bird flu was killing cows. Cows were dying left and right. And then inadvertently, it had switched over to mammals as well and was getting other mammals. It was getting cats. And so, yeah, just in October of last year, a couple sick cats came in. At the time, again, bird flu wasn't on my list because I was so busy with it with my dairy clients that it clicked. I said, these cats, we already lost 2 cats to bird flu. I just tried a Hail Mary, kind of broke some rules, if you will, put some cats on Tamiflu, didn't think anything of it. Cats survived. Owners were happy. I moved on with my life. And then months later, University of Maryland research group reached out and said, hey, do you have any cats that have bird flu or might have had it? We want some samples. And so we got to testing those cats, kind of wrote a little story about it, and then it just blew up. I did not think anybody would care whatsoever other than my mom.
Right.
And sure enough, like a lot of people cared. LA Times wrote an article about it. I had like 4 phone calls that week from other news reporters. Just people were so fascinated by it. And I don't think they understood, like, I didn't do anything special. I just, number one, I did my job. Number two, I used the medication off label, which got me a little bit talked about, but it worked. I got lucky.
We've been using it off label for years though, right? So just like
correct.
reframing it.
Yeah, I didn't do anything illegal, thankfully, but questionable, I think, is what some people would say. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, the cats survived, the owners were happy, and a lot of people think it's kind of cool. So I'm okay with it.
I mean, knowing this now, I feel like our views might go from 1 to, if we go 1 to 10, I'm going to send you a little thank you note here. And just the name recognition once we, put it out to the industry. That's great.
Tamiflu, right? You should get a Christmas basket from Tamiflu.
I tried not to, when the LA Times wrote an article again, they had some
The LA Times wrote an article. He just dropped that. I love that.
When they wrote an article about me, they did ask some, what I would call experts, people who know way more about everything else about this. And it was kind of funny because one of the lines was like, here's all the things I think this person maybe did incorrectly or I discourage. But if I was in his shoes, I would do the same thing. And so then, just people started posting it and it started appearing more and more. It ended up on TikTok, which is crazy. But I remember reading some of the comments, which everybody says like, don't do. And again, nothing was bad. But there was one guy who was like, this guy's rich now. Like he thought that I like created Tamiflu. And I'm like, no, I didn't create anything. I wrote them a prescription for it to get from CVS. I made $0 off this transaction.
But does it shift your mindset on like protocols or like client education, like going forward now that,
Yeah. So, I think the biggest thing, which, being in vet school, we had to take all these classes. And I remember one of the topics was One Health. And I was kind of in vet school, I was like, why are we talking about this? Not to be mean, but like you ask anybody why they become a veterinarian, everybody's answer is like, well, I hate people, right? Well, number one, wrong. We have to work with people every day. But number two, the public health, perspective, part of our veterinary oath is to preserve and protect public health. And so again, back then in school, I didn't think twice about it. Now it really goes down to like, there's cross species, all these different things. This isn't going to be the first or the last pandemic of this type of situation. And so, I do think that from a veterinarian, it shifts your mindset on, it's very easy. A lot of people think veterinary medicine is black and white. You have a case. I can go on the internet, look on VIN, open a textbook, and I follow this protocol. But sometimes the protocol doesn't work. Or in this case, there is no protocol. So you make your own. And so I do think from a veterinary perspective, it opens your mind on, number one, what's possible. Truly, the sky's the limit. I don't think we need to necessarily be like cowboys and just shotgun medicine, if you will. But I think it does kind of make it where we can maybe kind of fill in that gray zone with different things like I did that maybe can help. And, again, at the end of the day, that's all we're here for, is to help the pets and help the owners.
As long as it's not, remember, it used to be Depo and penicillin for everybody. As long as it's not, we're not going to Tamiflu for everybody, we should be good, right?
Yes, for now. Yeah.
I love that. Did that like spark? Or you like energized? I feel like that's like that's really, you've reached this pinnacle, and now what? Now you gotta find the next right thing? Or now you just like, do your day job?
No, I'm like doing the total opposite. I'm going completely different. So it did all kind of happen at once in terms of LA Times article came out, another local article came out. It kind of blew up. I went to conference where I met you guys personally, which was awesome. That incited a huge business side of me. While I was at the conference, I found out that I got accepted into the leadership program. And so that made me super excited. And then I came home, sat down, got on the couch with my wife, and was like, I need to take a step back. Like, I have way too much on my plate. You know, it goes back to that whole theory of right now, I'm just going to be good at, you know, so many things, but I want to figure out what I want to focus on. And so for me, not research, none of that kind of stuff. Again, that was fun, but kind of a one and done. I'm going to put it on my wall in my office and look at it every day, but I don't want to fail. So I'm not going to try again. I want to focus more on, like I said, the business side, the leadership side. So that's where I'm going to devote a lot of my time in 2026.
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch and see what happens.
Hopefully it works well.
I want to be mindful of your time here. I just, last question for me, and I think you just addressed it, is like sitting on the couch and having that conversation. Hey, I got 20 things on my plate. If I do all 20, I'm gonna be, fair, average, good, but never excel and be great. Having that conversation with yourself, because you hear it all the time, demanding profession, it causes burnout and the stress and the anxiety, and now business owner, back to school, everything like that. Is that the process that you had to take to kind of recalibrate and focus on what matters most, so you avoid the, going down the road and saying, hey, I'm done. I'm 3 years into this. I need to sell this practice because I'm toast. I'm burnt out. And I've lost the passion for X, Y, and Z, whatever it was throughout those years.
Yeah. I mean, I think 100%. I think it kind of goes to, I had no problem asking a technician or an assistant, what do you think, and shutting up. In my case, it was just shut up, right? Listen to myself. And so for me, it was, you're 100% correct. I wasn't burnt out, but I feel like I was heading towards that course where if I kept going all 20 on my plate, I'm going to be burnt out by Christmas. And so I had to focus on what is really, what made me passionate and ignited my passion. And for me, for now, it's the business side. And so maybe in 2027, it'll be more medicine side or more surgery side. Maybe I'll start doing something crazy like TPLOs, who knows? But for the time being, yes, it's the medicine side. I'm going to focus there because as long as that makes me happy and I think it can directly help my business, it's worth every penny of investment, time and financially.
If people want to follow you, if people want to talk to you about leadership ideas or ask you questions and shut up, where can they find you?
Yeah, I think I'm on everything. I'm not on X. I don't even know half the things nowadays. I still feel like I'm young, but I'm still pretty old in time. So I don't have a MySpace. No one does. I have a Facebook and Instagram. I think I have a TikTok, but they can reach out to me. I'm sure they can get in contact with you. You guys have my email. That would not be a problem.
Perfect. It was great. I can't wait to work with you in 2026. We'll take this show on the road.
I just hope it's good conversations and not a lot of Jared yelling at me. But yeah, that's my resolution.
Never. All right, Jake. Always good to see you. Appreciate the time. Likewise.